it is time for our annual Kevin Held Mega Mock Draft. Trades upon trades and dozens of players. Let's get started. Thomas, hit that intro.
Welcome to Saints Happy Hour Podcast. We never trade up.
If there was a path to give up 3 first-round picks to get Jaden Daniels, I would do it. And I would pick Jaden Daniels.
Now grab a drink and enjoy the show.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour Podcast. As always, we are brought to you by Hardhide, Ponchatoula, Strawberry Whiskey. All right, I got Kevin with me. I got Thomas running the show back in Poland. It is time for our annual Kevin Held Mega Mock Draft. Now, Kevin, of course, is president of the Trade Down Association, so his draft is long and complicated and involves many things. So we give him a special time slot where it's me and him so we can dive into it, do all kinds of crazy stuff. Kevin, I'm excited for this. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm also excited. Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to start to just give me the floor, as it were, because so do you want me to just launch into my tirade, or do you want to set it up first?
Here's what I want, because everybody, if you're new to the podcast, you're in for a treat, baby. But if you're not, you understand. Kevin's been banging on the drum for the Saints for years to stop trading up. They need depth in their draft. They need more picks. So he's been doing that, and because he believes in that, every year he does a mock, he trades down and acquires more picks and such. But what I want you to do, Kevin, is, we know that, but when you went into this, obviously accumulating more picks is a process thing, right? It's an argument with that you especially have with the Saints. You don't like their process, but at the end of the day, you still got to turn these picks into players, right? So what was your strategy going into the draft? Not just trade down. When you went into it and you acquired these picks, what was your goal with these picks? Did you have certain areas where you're like, I got all these picks now, if the Saints would do this, it would be great, but these are the areas where I've got to fill, because no matter how many picks you get, you're not going to be able to fill every area on this crappy Saints roster. So what was your overall theme strategy with these picks?
Right. So I want to lay out that Ralph told me, make your perfect draft. And I want to preface this in advance. This is not a draft that I am 100% in love with. I'm maybe 85% in love with. And I have come to a conclusion that there really is no such thing as the perfect draft. There will always be things that you are going to miss, that you are going to... You may take a guy in the moment that you think this is a good pick, and then you'll look back at it 3 hours later, or sometimes in my case, 10 minutes later. You'll look at it the next day, and you'll think, man, 5 of those 8 picks were good to great. 2 were okay, and the last one was just kind of meh. And yeah. I can't be fully psyched about it.
Yep. So
when Ralph told me, make your perfect draft, I also had to keep in mind that I am doing my mock draft on the big show next week. And so that one had to be a little more realistic.
Yeah.
So this one is more... Let me explore the studio space. Let me just, do a heat check from behind the arc, so to speak. I'm taking chances. I'm chucking up threes. I'm just out there having fun with this.
You're improv, you're breaking rules. You're doing fun stuff.
And I am, but this isn't me saying, this is not me about to lead into, so I drafted 23 guys. I'm not saying that. I was drafting people and players for positions of need things that will help the team. And if out of this we get 5 definitive starters and say 3 or 4 backups,
Yeah.
I mean, I think right in one season you could write the team right there.
Yeah. Before we start, I want to say one thing to this, and I really believe this, which is it's a weird thing to say. The 2016 and 2017 drafts were both the best and worst things that have happened to the Saints in the last decade. It's the best thing that happened to them because they nailed 11 out of 12 picks, which is insane. And they built a second window or third window for Drew Brees. And it was an amazing 5 years before Sean Payton left, right? The 2017 through 2021 was amazing fun. And it was great. And those why the draft 2016 and 2017 were amazing. But it was also terrible, Kevin, because it gave the Saints a false sense of hubris that they could recreate that on a regular basis. And I'm here to tell you, I'm 49 years old, and I may, if I'm blessed, live to be 85 or 90. And I'm telling you, there's probably never going to be another stretch of Saints drafting where in a 2-year stretch, they only miss on one of the picks.
Now, who did they miss on?
Happening again.
Who did they miss on? Daniel Lesko?
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one. That's the only one.
You're telling me they
in 2 years.
Hang on. So, Onyemata, Von Bell, Michael Thomas, Sheldon Rankins. Okay, those are all defensible. Let me find the 2017 Saints draft class. Hang on. I like the Wikipedia entry more. God damn it.
So you got Lattimore, Marcus Williams, Kamara.
Wait, Lattimore, Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Kamara, Anzalone, Trey Hendrickson, Al Quidin, Muhammad.
He wasn't a miss. He played in the league for he's still
7
in the league
years
bouncing
so
around.
Yeah.
So if you pick that in the 7th round, like that's a hit. So
yeah.
So anyway, that's my theory. But
no, that's a good theory.
So let's get to you did all your trades before the draft. You didn't do them on the clock. You did them all
correct.
So
I said I want to maximize the number of picks that I can get prior to pick 100.
I like that.
You told me to limit to try and limit the number of picks that we would talk about on this pod.
Yeah.
But I just said, let me try and focus on getting as many picks above 100. I chose not to wait for the draft to come to you kind of thing and see who calls on the imaginary mock draft phone. So first trade I made was I reached out to the 49ers. I gave them pick 9 and pick 40. And in exchange, I got 11, 43, 75, and 100. So I moved back 2 spots and then moved back 3 spots. But in exchange, I got 75 and I got 100. I tried finagling a pick from the following year, but it really the chances of it was still above 50. I tried to make trades that were going to be accepted 70% of the time or more. Because that felt more realistic to me. The next trade I made, I went to the Colts. I gave them pick 11. I then got pick 14, pick 80, and a round 4 for 2025, or I'm sorry, 2026. So now the Saints now have 7 picks for 2026.
Yeah, it's good.
I then called up the Bengals, and I gave them pick 14, 71, and 93. In exchange, I got 17, 49, 81, and 153.
Yeah.
I then called up the Seattle Seahawks, gave them 17 and 49, and in exchange,
that phone
I got
bill is gonna be huge, man.
That's right.
Oh, no. Free nights. Well, shit. It's free nights and weekends. So it was, if I'm calling them up the day before the draft, it's okay.
Yeah. So what did you get from Seattle?
I got 18, 52, and 92.
Yeah.
So I think the Seattle trade is maybe the only one that I'm a little, that, again, this is hindsight, a little iffy on.
Yeah.
But whatever. I ended up getting another, like, ultimately I wound up with 4, 5, 6, 7. I wound up with 8 picks in the top 100.
Yeah, see, that's the thing I like because I you know me, I'm with you on trading down, but I do think, and I haven't really seen a lot of data on this. So this is, it's a little bit, I've seen some stuff. It's a little database, but it's mostly like gut instinct. I feel like there's a point in the draft where the picks become less valuable, like almost like a cliff, right? And I don't know if it's top 100 or it's top 120, but it's around there somewhere. And I like the fact that you were like, if we're going to do this, we got to get bodies, but we got to get bodies in the top 100. And I like that. I like that theory because honestly, once you get into the bottom of the third, the comp picks after the third round and the fourth round, once you get in that area, after that, it's lottery picks. It's lottery picks. And you can have as many of them as you want. But my point is, I would rather have pick 75 than 3 picks in the late fourth. Because I just feel like I feel like there's a big gap in value there. So what I'm saying is, short version, I like this strategy, Kevin. I like this strategy.
And look, I fully acknowledge that the Saints are never going to do, no team is ever going to do this. That's why
Bill Belichick did it a couple of times. I want to say he did it in like 2018, 2019, and then proceeded to set all the picks on fire, which is just hilarious.
The Saints will never do this.
Yeah. So
if the Saints made even one of these trades, I would be delighted.
Yeah. If they could get, they got 9, 40, 71. What do they have? 9, 40, 71, and 93. If they could get from 4 to 5 top 100 picks, we'll have a parade on Thursday.
Right.
So let's get going. What would you?
Okay. So pick 18.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of different options I had, but the biggest positions of need to me are and this is in no order. To me, they're all level at the moment. Is guard, edge defender, and wide receiver.
Yeah.
I opted for the wide receiver. I took Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. He fell to 18. And here's the funny thing. Like, everything I read about him, it's like, this guy should be a no-brainer pick.
I don't
at wide receiver. But that's perfect. There's been no, excuse me, I'm just, the weather is creating weird allergies and
my son is crushing him.
It's all good. This guy, there's been no, he looked tremendous at this, in this drill, or, I've heard that, he knocked up his girlfriend and he's all stressed. There's been nothing good nor bad about him. All you have to really think about is what you saw on the field in live gameplay. And this guy was an ass kicker. This guy was great. And he's an Ohio State wide receiver.
Yes, that's right. He was born to be a Saint.
So it continues the tradition of taking an Ohio State wide receiver.
It's perfect. I don't understand, because there's certain things every year where I'm like, I don't understand it. And he's one of the ones this year, why he's going like bottom half of the first round, I don't understand. Like, to me, if I was taking a wide receiver this draft, I would take him. I would take him over McMillan. I would take him over the Texas guy. To me, he is not only safe, but he's better than those guys. I would be, the Saints did this. I'd be delighted because I think he's a rock solid pick. He's a 285-yard drive down the middle of the fairway.
His floor, to me, his floor is he is the solid number 2.
Yeah,
that's his floor. Okay, yeah. So all right, wide receiver's been addressed.
Mm-hmm.
We now come to pick 43. I'm saying I'm scratching out another one of my must-haves. Edge defender, Braden Swinson from LSU.
Ooh.
We get an edge guy who we can immediately throw in there, who can compete immediately to be a starter. We got, we all know the stuff with Cam. We know the stuff with Chase and how and just the whole rigmarole of the defensive line at this point. We need bodies. We need guys who can come in and possibly start, if not be a strong, either start immediately or be a very strong backup that will see snaps during the season. This is that guy.
He's a guy. He's climbing because people. The thing with him, his flashes at LSU, were incredible. Like you'd be like, oh my God, this guy's going to be amazing. And then he kind of disappeared, but I like it. Here's the thing now, after we do this pick and you got all these picks, Derek Carr, I don't want to get into it because he's not going to play. He's not going to play for the Saints. And that's just how it's going to be. Did you, not that this quarterback class is good or even, it's definitely not great. It might not even be good. But did you sort of prioritize, hey, I got to get a quarterback because without Derek Carr.
No.
Oh.
I'll give you a spoiler alert. I took no quarterbacks in this draft.
Wow.
There were a couple of times I was tempted. I was tempted for about 10 seconds with that 18 pick because guess what? Cam Ward was available.
Yeah, see that's the thing. The simulators.
Sometimes the mock draft, it just like
it broke.
Like, and it's not like I had the simulator set all the way down on a bunch of stuff. No, I either have it like middle or just above middle, so it's like balancing out between the fans and what PFF thinks. And then I even have it set a little bit higher for team needs. Mm-hmm. And somehow Cam Ward slipped to 18.
Yeah.
And I just said, you know what? I'm not taking it. And then there were a couple of times where there were quarterbacks available.
Yeah. Do you
at 43, Tyler Shuck was still there, and I said, nope.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm torn on the quarterback because here's the thing. I understand this quarterback class sucks. I understand the thinking of if you're not going to take a quarterback if you don't believe in the quarterback enough to take him in the first round, you shouldn't take him at all. There is some truth in that. I kind of see it. But my thing is with the Saints is if you don't add a quarterback, you have no floor at quarterback. And you may, if Rattler doesn't take a step forward and become like a solid NFL backup kind of quarterback that teams are okay to start, if he doesn't take a step forward, the Saints, not only will they be unwatchable as a product, which sucks for us as fans, but they will have no floor at quarterback. And then it becomes hard to evaluate your line, your receivers, and all of this. So I feel like the Saints need to grab a quarterback. Especially, I wish you would have done it because you have so many picks. But they got to grab a quarterback because you got to try to set a floor at quarterback.
The number of picks I got, look, you can grab a quarterback. With the number of picks I ultimately ended up with, you can get them.
Yeah.
Okay, so pick 52.
Yeah, let's go.
Pick 52, I took a chance. Didn't take a guard here because the guy I was looking at went before I came back around. So I just said, let me go with a big, sexy player that's going to excite the fan base. Cam Skattebo at running back.
Oh, wow.
Give me the bulldozer that it's either Kamara's gonna get you or this guy will. And whenever Kamara decides he's done, we got another guy ready to go.
Did you feel like that's a little high for him?
Like, he keeps showing up this high in PFF. Like, PFN has him still in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah. The thing with Cam Scatterboo is the negative that I heard on him is like his running style can't last. And my attitude with running backs, you can't guarantee me any running back is going to last. Genty, Junkin, all of them.
Right.
So, like, if you told me
Kamara is an exception.
Yes. If you told me the Saints are taking Scatterboo at 52, and in 4 years, he's going to be so beat up. He's going to give you 2 awesome years, 1 pretty good year. His 4th year, he's going to fall apart, and you're not going to give him an extension. I'd still take him in 2nd round because I'd be like, well, that's just running back, man. We got to pick another one. Like Kamara is the exception. Like running back every 4 or 5 years, you're going to have to pick another one. Like that's just how it goes. Like him not being long lasting, it doesn't scare me at all. And by the way, you talk about fun, you talk about moving jerseys, you talk about fan excitement. This dude will move merchandise.
So I've gone offense.
Yeah.
The first 2 of the first 3 picks. I went defensive line. Mm-hmm. I'm sticking with defensive line because, again, the guards I have seen don't go, like, there's been 1 or 2 that go in the top 45.
And then you can get them later.
They tend to, they tend to sink. Now, maybe on draft day, you see a bit of a run and you're like, all right, we gotta move now instead of waiting. I
don't think that'll happen. I think
with all these mock drafts, it doesn't really, it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So I thought, what is another position of need here for the Saints? Defensive interior.
Yeah. So
I went and I thought to myself, okay, we got Nathan Shepard and we signed Davin Godchaux.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. That's okay, but we're going to need
more. You need better.
Somebody either we either need another competitor or a guy who's going to get snaps and be the long-term starter at defensive interior.
That's right.
I grabbed Alfred Collins from Texas. He's 6'5" and weighs 320.
Yeah, and remember, the Saints have the UT's secondary coach. Now, I know defensive line isn't secondary, but I'd like to think the secondary coach at UT, being at practice every day, would have a good idea of other UT people on defense. And I like this. And here's the thing. With the Saints, we love Brian Bresee, 7.5 sacks, but he was terrible against the run. You would like to think better defensive line coaching, he can get better and become serviceable against the run. But again, I would rather not just bet on that for defensive line. I'd like to have bodies, because what if Bresee just gets a little bit better or doesn't get a bit better at all? We got this guy now from UT. I like it.
Also, Bresee is listed among the defensive, on the depth chart, he's listed as he's put it with the defensive end. So it's
that's right, because they're going to go 3. They're going into the 3-4.
3-4. So let's get another interior guy in here.
Yeah.
Now I'm at pick 80. Now, do you remember when we did the Kevin says don't draft these guys?
Yes.
And at pick 71, I angered you or frustrated you and potentially angered a lot of people by saying don't take this particular player at this particular time.
That's right.
I said don't take Mason Taylor at pick 71.
That's right.
If all you have are the picks that the Saints currently have. If you either get more picks or it's a little later, fine. Sure enough.
That's right.
Pick 80.
That's right.
Go Tigers. Mason Taylor,
I love it.
tight end, pick 80.
Yeah.
Now, that meets my requirements. We have more picks a little bit further down in the draft.
Yeah.
I got more slots that I think are more important, and that meets more my evaluation of where I think Mason Taylor is. And again, not the tape guy. I'm the vibes guy. I look at the numbers. I look at what's, stuff on paper.
Well, yeah.
So now we've got tight end covered.
That's right.
We've got tight end covered. Now we move to the back end of round 3.
Mm-hmm.
I have the very next pick 81. I thought I got to go back to defense. Depth. We need depth at linebacker.
Yeah, we do.
Chris Paul Jr., Ole Miss.
Ooh, I like that.
Is Demario Davis cooked? I don't know. It says we've got Granderson and Chase Young listed as linebackers in this scenario.
Outside in 3-4, outside linebacker,
right?
Kind of a pass rusher, yeah.
So it's just like let's throw another linebacker in there. We got Isaiah Foskey listed among the linebackers. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of linebackers listed on the Saints depth chart. But if Chris Paul can come in and displace 4 of these guys immediately, then he's a worthwhile draft pick.
Well, and remember, the Saints have a ton of players. Their contract's void next year. Demario Davis, this year is likely his last Saints year. Matthew, likely last Saints year. Taysom, likely last Saints year. They have a lot of these guys at void, so you gotta have a body ready to go. And depending on the Derek Carr situation, your cap might not be what you had kind of planned it to be the last 2-3 years, where 2026, you were thinking, hey, we're going to have some cap. We're going to have some flexibility. Depending on the Derek Carr situation, you might not. So you need bodies, is what I'm saying. You need bodies.
Right. I've really got to find that soundbite from Animal House, where they just say, we need the guys. Yeah.
Well, no, what I was going to say is, listen, the Saints aren't going to do a draft like this, but I do think there's so much value in my opinion, in the draft. If you can have even picks back to back, or even if you have if the Saints would trade back one time and they'd be like, okay, we have our pick 40, and then we have, say they trade with Denver, right? They go down to 20 and they have pick 52. When you say we have pick 40 and we have pick 52, when you have 2 guys you really like, if you don't have that pick 52 pick, hey, I got to pick this guy at this position because we're not picking again for 30, 40 picks, whatever. Whereas if you have these picks that are in the same range, you can say, hey, we're going to take this guy at this premium position, and we love this guard, but we don't think teams are going to take guards, and we think he might slide 10, 11 spots. And you can really manage your draft that way. And just for the Saints, just to have that one time is going to be really good, I think, if they could get it in the second round. But that was just my thought there.
So this is where I said we're getting a guard.
Oh, thank God.
Because we had a real good one fall to us at pick 92.
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt Millum from West Virginia. He's listed as a tackle on this thing.
But he's a guard.
But he's going to be a guard.
And he's like Razzmatazz, right? Like off the chart.
Yeah, let me pull up Wyatt Millum Raz. Yeah, it says offensive tackle. He comes in with a bunch of yellows here. But some of his things have not been
filled in. The thing I like about him, Kevin, is I like this because here's the thing. Yes, he projects at guard, and they can slide him inside. But if the Saints would think he has a chance to play at tackle, if the Saints decide, and I'm sure they've already decided this, because what is Penning going to show them in OTAs, right? That they're going to be like, oh, they've decided, they just haven't announced it. Are they going to pick up his 5th-year option for Penning? And if they're not, if the Saints aren't going to pick up his 5th-year option, to me, tackle isn't a must, but it's a need. And if you pick this guy, if you like him at tackle, you can say, hey, we can play him at guard this year. We can kick him out to tackle, right tackle next year and see how it goes, or do the den. But I think if you know we're not going to have Trevor Penning in 2026, you got to do something at tackle. And here's the thing, Kevin, people are going to laugh at me, and they have, and they've excoriated me on X and made fun of me. I know they do, but I'm telling you, the tackle market in the NFL is bananas in free agency. The Saints don't pick up Trevor Penning's option, and he's the same exact tackle that he was in 2024. He does the exact same season again in 2025. A team's going to pay him $80 million because that's how desperate teams are for tackle. And the Saints, if they didn't pick up the 5th-year option, I know they're not going to pay him $80 million. So if they don't pick up the 5th-year option, he's gone. The tackle, important, is what I'm saying. I like this pick.
All right, another depth pick. Another guy who could possibly be a starter depending on circumstances. I went Dorian Strong, cornerback from Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Because again, it's like we're looking at Alontae Taylor. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. He could be gone.
That's right.
At some point in the not too distant future. And we got Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's, we don't
promising.
We don't have enough. We don't have enough to say definitively, is this guy just okay, or is he good?
Right. That's right.
So that's it. I like having more depth in the secondary.
Yeah,
especially because of how injured people kept getting. Again, so much of this team is either it's holes or depth problems because of injuries or just constant worry about that. So this is me trying to, like the octopus working in the office, shuffling paper around. I'm trying to move things around. I'm trying to make sure everything is nice and balanced.
Well, here's the thing with the Saints. They have 9 players that void next year. So I've said if they don't draft 20 players in the next 2 years, going into the 2026 season, you're going to have the dreaded 6 UDFAs made the team. And that's fun for us, for the adopted UDFA son draft. And media members will pretend that the Saints have found these diamonds in the rough. But you don't find more than 1 good UDFA a year if you're lucky and you're good at it. And the Saints are really good at it. But the UDFAs that they've found, we can count them on one hand, right? Pierre, Granderson, Rashid Shaheed. Like, it's one dude a year, right? And every couple of years. So they need bodies. They need depth. The interesting thing at corner, Kevin, is what was left there. Like when you were picking it in that third round, what was left? Was it slim pickings? Were you like, I got to get one now? Or were there still
there were a couple, you'll you'll find out. There were a couple that were still there, but there were a couple that were still there. And like looking at some of the other players like that were around, I was just like, well, I don't need... I guess I wasn't thinking so much about the offensive tackle thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a couple of those guys still around, and I just passed on them and said, let me go corner. Like, honestly, this many picks, I could probably go back in and take a pure tackle.
Yeah.
And, I know and that would be okay.
I know the Saints really like Charles Grant of William and Mary. So he would be a name. And I don't think he could do the same jersey number as the Saints Charles Grant they had on the team in the early 2000s. Yeah. But you never know. with this draft, as you ran it, is there anybody that you particular at this point where you not regrets, because you got a lot of bodies, you got a lot of good picks, but is there anybody where you look at it? I know you said tackle, but is there any particular player where you look at it and you're like, man, I should have pulled the trigger on that one?
I don't think so. Like when I had Emeka Egbuka there, again, Cam Ward was there, and I had I had an edge guy from Tennessee. Wow, what's his name? I think it's James Pierce.
James Pierce, yeah.
Where I briefly considered them, because then taking the edge guy would have changed my calculus. Then I wouldn't have taken Braden Swinson. I probably might have taken the tackle from Ohio State, Donovan Jackson, who's really projected as a guard at 43. I might have taken a wide receiver. It's like, again, it's a mock draft. It's literally dominoes.
Yeah.
Because I literally just laid out. If I take the edge guy from Tennessee at 18,
it changes everything.
I'm not taking Braden Swinson. And then I'm probably taking the guard. Then I'm probably looking at taking a wide receiver at the Scatterboo spot, because I think Savion Williams was still sitting there, or maybe it was either Savion Williams from TCU or somebody else. And then it's sort of just, again, it's changing the calculus.
Here's the thing that I think is really interesting about this draft, and you've seen it where when you talk about the different tools, usually by this time you're a week out. The truth, it doesn't seep out for individual teams, but like the macro truth of the draft kind of like seeps out there, and everything kind of aligns, and the top 100 guys are the top 100 guys, and that's how it goes. And it kind of, they might be different a little spot. But this draft, Kevin, I feel like there's going to be a moment in the top 10 where we go, what the hell just happened? And I think these teams from player like 15 to like 45, 50, maybe even more, is very different. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a couple of Saints players, probably one on each end. There's going to be one where they pick them and everybody's going to be like, that's way too high. I can't believe they did that. And there's going to be one where we're going to be like, I can't believe they got so-and-so in round 5. That is ridiculous. I can't, I had a second round grade on him. Did he kill somebody? What the hell? Because I just think this is one of those years where these teams, their opinions of these players are vastly different. And it's not just quarterbacks. It's all of them. It's edge. It's linemen. I read today, they have people that are like, they don't like Will Campbell from LSU because they're like, he has one of the smallest wingspans ever. And if you have that small a wingspan, if you succeed at tackle, you're a unicorn. We're not taking them. And so it's just, the ratings are all over the place for this draft. I think you're going to see a lot of weird stuff, and the Saints aren't going to be immune from these weird picks where some of them will delight us, some of them will freak us out. So what you got next?
All right, I tell you what, I'm going to list both the guys that I took in round 4.
Mm-hmm.
So at pick 112, I took Jaden Chicken Cordon Bleu from Texas at running back. And then at 131, I took Mello Dotson, the cornerback from Kansas. So Mello Dotson, I've picked up a number of times in mock drafts. Again, with the cornerback, it was a depth call. And plus Mello Dotson, like the write-ups on him all seem pretty positive. Like he was like a 1-2 punch with the other guy, Kobe something. I can't think of his last name, but actually, I wonder if his name was Kobe Bryant. Yeah, it actually was Kobe Bryant. Okay, yeah. So it was spelled different, but they both had good write-ups, and it's like Kobe Bryant was said to be the guy that got the headlines, but Mello Dotson was like the silent assassin type. I love when somebody gets when they hand labels out like that. Oh, this guy's the guy that you don't really think about, but then all of a sudden he's there, and he's hurting you, and it's like, all right, great, sign me up. Again, depth thing as well. I'm all about that. Jaden Blue, his write-up is basically great athlete, speed, tremendous runner. He would work great in a two-back committee. Well, hey, it just so happens that I drafted a lumbering bastard of a running back earlier in Cam Skattebo. So these guys are going to be the 1-2 punch. These are the 1-2. This is the 1-2 punch here, and we're able to protect Alvin Kamara.
That's right. I love
because now Kamara can now still be a guy who floats out and catches passes and makes things happen and be a leader and a mentor to these guys. And we are covered at running back. We are covered. Jaden Blue could be the prince that was promised when everybody got excited with Kendra Miller.
Here's the thing with Blue. He's just as likely to go for a 75-yard touchdown as he is to fumble. He fumbles a lot. But here's the thing. Fumbling is a fixable problem. And you know who the Saints have who plays at running back who hardly ever fumbles and might be able to give some tips? Alvin Kamara. I love the Blue pick because he's fun. He's the kind of guy.
And again, round 4, you can take a chance.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that will. He's the kind of guy. He's the kind of guy where during training camp and during practices, you'll be hearing Nick Underhill. Oh, he's struggling in pass protection. He's struggling picking things up. He's really not looking great. He might be on the bubble. And then in the preseason game, he does one run for 75 yards, and you're like, they can't cut him. He's making the team. Like that's who he is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you gonna rattle off the last 3?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right. I took Jordan Hancock, the safety from Ohio State, at 153. I took Nick Nash, the wide receiver from San Jose State, at 184. And then I took Jalen Walker, the linebacker from Indiana, with my last pick.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all of and again, these are depth picks.
Mm-hmm.
The one I was most excited about was Nick Nash because he's 6'3". Like I'm in love with wide receivers that are tall.
Saints need it.
And his last season, like his redshirt senior season, the guy had nearly 1,400 receiving yards and 16 touchdowns and caught over 100 balls.
That's
and
right.
You're telling me that I can get this guy in the 6th round? If that guy falls to me in the 6th round, I'm taking him. You put him and Emeka Egbuka on the field together, right there, I can now look at my entire wide receiver room and say, all right, guys, this is what these two guys can do. Show me you belong here. And plus, it's insurance. It's an insurance policy. Brandon Cooks, older, has health issues. Olave is the number 1, but we all know what the issues are with him. Shaheed's coming off a damn leg injury, so who knows what the issue is going to be with him. And then you've got you've got the old man in Cedric Wilson. Then you've got can they do something or can't they? Mm-hmm. Bub Memes, Dante Pettis, Mason Tipton, Kevin Austin Jr. These two guys should immediately be able to come in and make the wide receiver room that much better.
And here's the thing with Rashid Shaheed. We love him. He's a UDFA. He's been super fun, incredible. But his skill is his speed. And he's a guy that if that knee doesn't come back and it doesn't heal exactly right, he doesn't have, make the tight catches, runs great routes, it has strength and has other things to offer. He's 100% right now about running by dudes, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a great pick. And here's the thing, as we wrap up, just to make the point: are the Saints going to pick 13 guys and do all these trades? No. But here's the thing that I want to mention is the Saints have made the fewest picks the last 10 years. And if you go back to 2000, the Saints have made the fewest picks of any NFL team by 10%. A good draft, if you draft 50 to 55% hit rate over a 5-year period, you are an elite drafting team, right? If you hit 50%, that's really good. Kevin drafted 13 dudes. Let's say this draft for the Saints is below average, and they only hit on 40%. That still gives them 5 starters. If they just hit on 40%, you still get 5 starters, maybe a couple of guys, backups or whatever. And you do that over a 2-year period, ding, 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 you got 10, 11
I've turned
guys.
over the team.
I've
turned over the team. I have made this team far better.
That's right.
This is a team that should be able to come out and be capable of winning the division. Now, don't get me wrong, the quarterback issue is still there, but this is me building the team and getting it ready.
Yeah, that's right.
Getting it ready for the quarterback.
Yeah, like that's the thing with that's the thing with the Saints. And listen, the Derek Carr situation has thrown a giant monkey wrench into the plan. But Mickey Loomis, they even started it without the intention of without obviously firing Dennis Allen. But you know, last year they didn't really spend any money in free agency. No one spent less in 2024. So the Saints had started the cap process, which is when you run when you run your cap the way the Saints do, the way the Eagles do, the way Atlanta did, when you run your cap that way and you finally are like, okay, we're done, we have to unwind it, it's a 3-year process because you are pushing the boundaries of what is possible. You look at every team that's ever had to unwind the cap like this, like the Saints run it, takes 3 years. Everybody does. So last year was year 1. This is year 2. 2026 is year 3. 2027, you're going to have like $100 million in cap space. So the 3-year plan has been initiated, and the only way through,
or the only way out is through.
The only way out is through, and the only way through is the draft. And so they've just, to me, I know this is fantasy, but if the Saints, if you could just not trade up, give us one trade down and get us to 10 guys, even if that trade down is like in the 2nd round or in the 3rd round, and you get another pick in the top
look, if they
120.
take somebody at 9, if they took Ty Warren at 9, and then said, all right, we're trading back from 40. We'll move back a few spots and then get something in the 70s, and or we'll get something in the 80s, and then we'll get like another pick in like 130 or whatever. I'll take it. I'll take it. Give me a trade down, and then don't trade up for anything. Just don't trade up. Like if you take somebody at 9 and then you're like, oh, we got to get this guy late in the 1st round and then auction off. No, don't do that.
No, and
show some discipline.
Here's the thing that would drive, I think, Saints fans crazy, because we've been waiting for the draft, and we want the Saints to pick as many picks as possible. But I would actually be even more excited about it if you had a team like Denver and they were like, "Hey, we'll go from 20 to 9 because we want Genty," and Peyton's like, "I gotta have Genty," and Denver's like, "We'll give you 40." And we'll give you a 2026 second. I would be over the moon for that, because I don't look at, now that Derek Carr is injured and he's not going to play anymore, I'm taking the long view with the Saints. Give me that extra pick next year, because 1, they need more bodies for next year. 2, you can hate watch the team that they would do the deal with, right? And that pick next year gives you flexibility if the Saints are as bad as we fear they might be. And Kevin, you're picking 5th and you're like, okay, we got to get in the top 3 to get this quarterback. Oh, I got an extra second. I can give that team, go from 5 to 3, and I still got all my picks for 2026. So I just think getting future picks to me will make me as happy as if they got picks this year. Just Saints, don't trade up.
Yeah.
Throw us a bone by trading down. One of those two, do one of those two things, and we will be very, very happy. Kevin, since I got you here, and it's just me and you, and with the big show, we won't probably be able to get into it. As you looked at this year's draft, what of all the mocks that you've done, what was the thing that surprised you the most about it? Like as you were doing it, what was the thing that you're like, well, that's really interesting or peculiar? What was the things as you did it that surprised you the most?
Thing that surprised me.
Or interested you the most? Whatever fascinated you as you did all these drafts.
I don't know. I mean, like I was able to find quality, or again, what looks like on paper and vibes. Mm-hmm. I was able to find quality running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in all throughout, like 4th round and 5th round and 6th round. Like I was happy with that. The defensive ends thing is defensive ends. Those are that's a little more top heavy in that once you get past, like I think round 3, you're really hoping, and there's not too many that you can. Let me say, you can't bank on any. There's nobody you can bank on after a certain point. So it's like you got to grab one with one of those first 3 picks. Yeah. Like if the Saints stay at 9, 40, and 71, they got to take an edge guy.
Yeah,
they have to.
Yeah,
unless they're happy to roll with Cam and.
Well, there's going to be
whoever the hell else they got now sitting at defensive end.
They're going to come out of this draft, even if they do the one trade down, which we would hope for. They're going to come out of this draft, and we're going to be like, oh my God, what are they going to do at X position for the year? Whether it be running back, whether it be receiver, whether it be edge, whether it be guard. Because they're not going to, you're not going to be able to fill every spot. Right? You're not going to feel great about it. So there's going to be one spot. The last thing I will say, and I want to remind people of this, and the media they tiptoe around this until draft week, until draft night. All these players with these off the field things that are nefarious, and they're like, oh, Pierce and these Tennessee, it's like they don't talk about it, and you there's whispers and I don't know. But you know it, Kevin, draft night, all that stuff comes out. Remember Darius Geis for LSU? They were like slightly whispers about him. And then the draft started, they're like, oh yeah, he's a mess. And he just fell completely, right? And I think that's going to happen. And there's always going to be a guy or two where you don't really hear anything about off the field stuff and personality and whatever. And teams will make that call not to pick them. And maybe it'll end up being the team screwed up, or maybe they'll end up being 100% right. But there's going to be a couple of guys in that top 40 to 45 range that are going to absolutely freaking plummet. And that's another thing. Kevin, I haven't been this excited about a Saints draft in a really, really long time, because I said it on the Discord, which you should sign up, become a patron. You get access to our Discord chat that we do every Thursday. I said it there, but I'll say it here too. I'm super excited for this draft for 2 reasons. One, Saints, we got extra picks, Kevin. It might not be like premium picks, but to me, 2 extra 3rd round, extra 4th round from the Lattimore trade, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that makes it fun. And that has made draft season to me incredibly fun with you and the guys in the mock draft channel, especially you, that you can just spout off all these players. It's been incredible. That's been extra fun. But the other thing is, it sounds really strange because the Saints are picking 9th, but the New Orleans Saints are going to be the star of the first round of the draft because Tennessee's picking Cam Ward. And then everybody else, the news media, everyone, the attention will turn to the Saints, and it'll be, what are they going to do at quarterback? And it was like that before, even before Derek Carr got hurt. It was like, well, they're only going to have Carr for 1 more year. What will they do? Now, they don't even have Carr. So they know the Saints are desperate for a quarterback, and Shedeur Sanders is the star of the draft. So you are going to have a ton of, let's go to Metairie, Louisiana, and talk to our Saints reporter. What are you hearing about the Saints? Like, it's going to be the Saints. The Saints are going to be the star of of Thursday night, and it's going to be fun. Like, if you like to watch the draft and have them talking about the Saints, you get your wish. That's what I love. So, Kevin, I'm just like, I haven't been as excited about a Saints draft since 2017 when they had 2 firsts. Like, would you?
Yeah, listen, I'm always excited, even if I'm nervous about it. I go into draft season with a lot of nervous energy, but I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this one because it's a new coach, new coach, new scheme, system, all that kind of shit. And there's a lot of unknowns. And while that makes me nervous, it's still interesting and fascinates me. I mean, look, I could show up here Thursday night and just be like, I can't fucking believe they did this.
That's right. They could.
And be annoyed and yelling and whatever. But even that's fun in its own way. So, either I'm going to come in here and be delighted and ecstatic, or I'm going to come in here and be kind of muted, but little like optimistic, or I'm going to come in here and be a raging lunatic.
Yeah. No sport in America, maybe the world, sells hope like the NFL draft sells hope. Like, it's just hopium prescription strength. And it's been that way. Like, the NFL figured it out years ago, and it's amazing. So, guys, I can't wait. And by the way, check us out. Thursday night, we will be live about pick 6, about 30 minutes before the Saints hit the clock. 9th pick, we'll be on live. So check us out on YouTube. It's going to be amazing. So for Kevin, for Thomas running the show back in Poland, I'm Ralph Malbrough. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, the bar is closed.